y'all, I am cooking supper and I am making ultimate cheeseburger joes. So there is 2 secret ingredients to these that makes me call them ultimate. So I'm going to turn this so you can see what I am doing. I've got everything over here just about ready to assemble it, but the first thing I have to do is brown my ground meat. I've got 1 pound of hamburger, and when you're browning your meat, you want to put it in, and I just kind of spread it apart just a little bit, and we're going to let it brown on one side before we flip it over. So you see that? That's what we're calling browning our meat. Let it get crispy and brown before we start breaking it up. So this is also when I share the recipe where you'll see that it's time to add in some onion. But one of my daughters, if you've watched me often, doesn't like cut onion, fresh onion. So I'm not adding onion into mine tonight. So I'm just going to go ahead and start breaking this up with the mixing chop. And again, this is where I would add onion if you're adding onion to it. So I'm going to let all of this brown and get cooked, and then I will come back on. I'll just pause this and come back on. If there's any grease, this is lean, but I'm seeing a little bit of grease. If there's a lot of grease in here, I will drain the grease, and then I will come back on and show you how I'm going to put these together. Stay tuned. Okay, y'all, you can see that this is already browned. I did not have any grease. There's just maybe a tiny, tiny bit in there, but not enough that I'm going to worry about it. I hope y'all can see this well. So I'm going to add in about a teaspoon of salt and a teaspoon of pepper. I'm just using our salt and pepper grinder, and I'm not really measuring. I'm just putting in what I think would be about a teaspoon of each. Okay, now when you're using seasonings, and I don't know if you know this or not, 2 things I'll tell you. One is the lid serves as a measuring spoon. There's 2 lines in there, teaspoon and tablespoon. And I'm using 3 onion seasoning because I didn't put any onion in there. When you're using seasonings, you can see all this steam and hear it. You don't want to use them over your seasonings over that hot steam. If you have seasonings that clump together on you, that is why. So I always measure mine away from the hot pan, and then I will add it in so I don't get all that moisture in my seasonings. Okay, so now I'm just going to stir that around. I'm going to cut the heat down to low at this point. It's been on medium high. Ooh, that 3 onion seasoning smells so good, y'all. Now, another thing I want to show you, and you see me use these a lot, and I'll back this up so you can see what I'm doing. This is the measure-all cup. This end is for liquids, and this end is for dry and solids. So I have got this somewhere. Where's my measurements? To 1/2 cup. I'm trying to find it so I can get y'all to see it. Well, I can't even find it. Right there. 1/2 cup is what I've got it on. So instead of putting your mixture like a yogurt or honey or peanut butter or this sauce in a measuring cup and having to try to dig it back out, and a lot of times I just eyeball what I think would be a 1/2 cup. But the measure-all cup, when you use this, you're able just to pop it right in, push that down, and then you just scrape it off. So that way, you know you got all your ingredients. I didn't have to dig around in the measuring cup to get it out, and I love the measure-all tools. Now there's 1 more ingredient, or 2 more that I'm going to put in here, and one of them is the secret to what I call my ultimate cheeseburger joes. It's like a sloppy joe, so this is where the Joe name comes in. And that is this salsa queso cheesy dip. Oh my goodness, y'all, it's delicious. I like to get on the border. You don't have to get that brand, but that's the brand that I've always liked to use. So I've already poured that in, so you didn't have to watch me do that twice. And this one is on 1 cup. So I will pour that in and scrape all of that off. So this is sloppy joes, but cheeseburger sloppy joes. And see, I've got all that out. And then the other thing that I'm going to add in is I've already cooked and crumbled, and I've got it in here, some bacon. And while this was browning, I shredded some more cheese. So I'm going to go ahead and add in my crumbled cooked bacon. This is the silicone prep bowls. These come in a set of 3. They have measure markings on them. You can use them in the microwave, and you can also use them in the oven and the air fryer. The lid is not safe for your oven or air fryer, but I love that they have lids so we can store things in them. And I really love how flexible they are so we can pour things carefully from them. Okay, so now, bring you back a little closer so you can see this. I'm just going to stir this deliciousness together. And I have got my oven preheating at 400 degrees. And I've got some buns over here. I've got a little bit of butter on the tops of mine. My buns didn't have sesame seeds, so I put some butter on top and sprinkled some sesame seeds on them because I like sesame seeds, just for the looks of them. I did my grocery orders online, and I thought I had ordered the buns with the sesame seed tops, but I didn't get that. Ooh, y'all, I wish you could smell that barbecue sauce and this cheese. Doesn't it look delicious? I should have doubled this recipe because it's one of our favorites, and it would be a very easy recipe to double. So while this is just simmering on low, as soon as my oven heats up, I'm going to put those buns in to toast them just for a little bit, and then I'll come back on and put one together and show you the last secret to making these the ultimate Cheeseburger Joes. Stay tuned. Okay, my buns are just about done, and I've got my cheese all shredded. Oh, my timer's going off. Okay, I'll hurry up because I don't want those buns to burn, but I wanted you to see I've got sharp cheddar cheese, and I still have my pan on low. So I'm going to just put some cheese on top. That's something you measure with your heart. Excuse me. Put as much or as little as you want, and I think this is going to be just about enough right here. So I'm going to let that cheese melt. This is the cut and store. I'll share a clip at the end of this video. I'll share a clip how I did my cheese, but I love keeping this in here, y'all. And this is a cutting board on this side. Okay, so I got to hush and get my buns out and let this cheese melt, and then I'll come back on and we'll put one together. Okay, are y'all ready to see this goodness? If I can pick this pan up, it's heavy. Look at all that cheesy goodness. Oh my goodness gracious. It's just going to be scrumptious when you shred your own cheese, y'all. I'm telling you, there's just such a big difference in the flavor. Okay, so I have got our buns toasted, and they're cooled off a little bit so I can handle them. And I'm going to put some of this mixture. Let me tilt this down so y'all can see it instead of me. I'm starving. Maybe I should have done 3 buns, 2 for my husband and just 1 for me. I maybe should have done more, but it doesn't take long to toast them at all. Look at that, look at that. Cheeseburger Joes. Okay, now the last ingredient, and why I call them ultimate Cheeseburger Joes really is because of the queso that I add in there along with the other ingredients. But to put on top of these, I've got these French crispy onions. Oh my goodness, y'all. They are just scrumptious. So they will go right on top of these. And I made this one kind of messy, so I'll give that one to my husband. So he can pick it up and bite it. And you just put that top on. Yum, yum. I won't make mine quite as messy as his. And I'll take a picture and put it at the end. And as always, I'll put the recipe for this in the comments, y'all. But it just takes your traditional sloppy joes to a whole nother level. And it's hard to go back to traditional sloppy joes when you've tasted these ultimate sloppy joes. So thank you guys so much for watching. Recipe in the comments. And as always, my website will be in the description above the video if you want to see any of the products I use. I think every kitchen needs a mixing chop, and I think every kitchen needs these measure all cups. All right, thanks y'all. Have a great night. Bye-bye. Okay, I keep my cheese in the cut and store container, y'all. As I said, the inside of the lid is actually a cutting board, and it is just a handy little bowl to have. So I just shred this cheese, and y'all, I'm going to preach to you a little bit now. Just that little bit of cheese that I shredded, look how much I got. It tastes so much better, it melts better, and you get so much more for your money. Then I just take the flexible cutting mat and put it right back in this container to keep it fresh.